Okay, hey, welcome to an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. To have another cool little review for you guys from the brand CIGA Designs. They're a Chinese brand based out of Shenzhen, China, that specialize in creating stylish and original watches with impressive designs. In terms of the type of watch, they all kind of fall under that wild card category. Some key characteristics in design when you're looking for something to fulfill that space within your own collection. You're just going to be looking for something that's a real standout or statement timepiece that trades versatility and timelessness for all-out style and peak design. So while it will never really be a one watch for most collectors, these are great, pieces to be your fourth, fifth, sixth watch, 10th watch, 11th watch. Once you have everything you need, then you can kind of start getting into the things that just interest you and the stuff that you want to wear. This is their Hunter in the silver colorway, and it's basically a complex angular skeletonized automatic wristwatch featuring a lot of design for not a lot of money, especially considering the level of complexity here. Now, this goes for $4.99. That's direct from the brand. You could also get it from Amazon Prime, at least currently where I'm located at. I did go ahead and make a little link to Amazon, so if you do end up purchasing one, hopefully I'll get some type of commission through that. So definitely check out those links. This watch was provided by CIGA Designs, but they didn't pay me anything or have any type of insight or not even any preview authority or anything like that. It's just like every other one of my videos, essentially I'm just sharing my own personal thoughts, and I've handled thousands of watches on the channel at this point, and that's just what's on the channel, let alone in person up at watch meetups and just day-to-day life. So yeah, I just want to share my thoughts and kind of let you guys know where I'm coming from. I do see the value in something like this in terms of a wildcard watch, but again, I would not recommend this for dads and grads. This is going to lack a lot of versatility, but again, it's also something that can fulfill a space that you don't even know that you were missing. So with that said, let's go ahead and zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. All right, so while not for everyone, I think everyone can admit that this is pretty cool looking. Maybe not for every wrist or every occasion, but the whole, double skeleton, you have, of course, an open work dial as well, skeletonized movement, open case back. I mean, it equals just a whole lot to look at and a lot to enjoy, and that's kind of one of the joys of mechanical timepieces, is the fact that they there's a lot of small intricate parts that kind of come together, and here you have that all on display. Even when you wind it, you just see fun things happening. So very, very cool. So in terms of the dimensions here, this is quite a large watch, but I will say that the mixture of the design elements do help it wear a little bit better than you might expect. So this does have like kind of an angular to no shape case, but it's only 43 millimeters wide, which isn't that bad. Not completely unwearable. The thickness is only going to be 12.3 millimeters, which is surprising. And of course, probably looking at it here, it doesn't seem that thin, but I will say that, it doesn't wear overbearingly large. Again, the lug to lug is going to be 47.5 about. Again, this is all measured through my own calipers. And then this is a DLC coated 316L stainless steel in a matte blasted finish with high polished bevels, including the bracelet there, which is cool. And then there's of course a couple of high polished accents on this very cool looking case. The nice thing is it's DLC coated, and that's regardless of the colorway, which means it's going to be scratch resistant as well. So that's kind of a little industry secret. Most things where you're going to see a hard coating up to 1200 Vickers, it's because they just have a clear DLC coat on it. Now, here you're going to have a curved sapphire on the upper and then a flat mineral on the case back. Push-pull crown, nicely signed there. The movement inside is an in-house CIGA automatic CD07. It has a 40-hour power reserve, beats at 4 hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour in terms of that beat rate. It does hack and hand wind, and it's pretty decently accurate. Let me do the hack action for you. Boom. So in terms of the accuracy, it's accurate to between -15 to +25 seconds per day. So yeah, of course, your own mileage may vary. Now, or it'll still be somewhere within those tolerances, though. Typically, you see a wide tolerance like that, and it's going to run generally better, right? Because that's the extreme ends, right? And let's face it, the fact is, what the middle is the middle. It's not the extreme end. So getting into this dial, you're going to have this open work skeletonized dial. You're actually going to have an outer 12-hour and 60-minute chaptering. So that chaptering is really where you're going to be getting those markers there, because obviously all of this is just open and exposed. Now, the hands are skeletonized and loomed, and then there's like an unspecified green loom here, which is, it's not super potent. We'll definitely enjoy it when we get to the low light transition and the loom shot portion. But you can see clearly in the day situation, it's still not like a white loom. It has this green hue to it, even in full daylight, which I think is good because it helps with legibility, right? Because now it stands out versus it just being, you know, another kind of monotone color against, you know, a kind of monochromatic design. Now, the water resistance here is surprisingly decent at 3 atmospheres. Yes, just 30 meters, which isn't a lot, but when you consider the fact that this is skeletonized, everything's on display, and it does have just a push-pull crown, I think that is good to go. Now, the lugs are 22 millimeters, but they are hooded. So if you did want to wear this with a different strap, as you can see here, it looks really cool. With the hooded lugs, it almost gives you kind of a halfway integrated style to it, which I think looks really nice. Obviously, with all the angles, everything flows pretty well. And then in terms of the bracelet here, 22 millimeters, it does have a slight taper down to about 17.7 or about roughly 18 millimeters at the push button butterfly deployant here. And that clasp is, you know, probably the only thing that's catalog in here. Everything else is definitely very much specifically made for this timepiece. The H-links are nice. The construction is very solid. Tolerances are very tight. It is pin and collar, and I will say when I had to remove the pins and collars on this particular bracelet, it was a tough one. I was not thrilled to adjust this, and I do the adjustments on all of the bracelets that any watch that comes through the channel. As long as I'm actually adjusting the bracelet, then, I did. I never pay anybody to do it. So I am fine with pins and collars. I will say these stuck a lot, so you want to have good tools, and the tools that are provided in the package aren't the greatest. They're pretty cheap. So if you are going to get this watch, that's something you might want to consider. But the nice thing is, since it does have hooded lugs, if you wanted to put it on a standard 22 millimeter strap, you could always do that as well. So with all that said, let's go ahead, get it on the wrist, and see how it wears. Okay, as you can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, I think it wears decent. Not too crazy. Of course, the tonneau shape helps. That barrel shape does help it wear, a lot better than you would expect for something this size. Of course, if I get my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, you're going to notice a fair amount of perspective distortion because the sides of my wrist are falling away, which means the sides of the bracelet are also falling away. You're just seeing more of the watch head. They're kind of now spread even wider on the wrist. But if I keep it nice and low and then just tighten up the frame, you guys will get a detailed look, but just add a bit of a truer aspect ratio as to how this may lay on your own wrist. And now you can see it's better centered there. And I got to say, look at that. That 12 point, at 3, it's like just 12 millimeters and some change, especially considering that it does have that curvature to it, right? Where it's not always going to be 12 millimeters. It's going to be thinner there, of course, on the top and the bottom side. Yeah, I think it wears well enough. Like, this is something that's very fun, very different. This is not a watch to wear to the gym. This is not a watch to wear with business formal attire. Unless you want this to be your signature timepiece, then I guess you could. Or if you were in a movie, like this is totally a movie kind of Ben 10 Omnitrix type of watch, especially with that color combo. So yeah, I think this does have a vibe to it, and I enjoy it. And I mean, look at the quality on this case, matte blasted with the high polished bevels, which, this isn't the first watch that we've seen do it, but I have to say this pulls it off really well. The light play on here is quite nice, especially considering that it is a mostly matted situation. And then the dial, as you can see, or if you can even call it a dial, it's just cool. You can see my skin through the other side of it. There's just a lot to like here. And again, I know some watch people will be repulsed by this, but some watch people will geek out on it, and then non-watch people generally are going to think this is super cool. So let's throw that out there, right? Like, this is the watch that any of my kids might grab if I'm asking, hey, which watch should I wear, which one looks the coolest, there's a certain age range or something like this. Again, it just looks like something out of a cartoon. And the cool thing is, for those of you that are older and that do collect mechanical timepieces, there's still a lot of great details to enjoy here on the technical side, on the objective side, right? Not just the subjective design aesthetic, but the actual complexity and the level of work that went into this, I think, is still quite impressive. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this off the wrist, set up for some loom shots, the light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. All right. So cool loom, but not a lot. But it's also not a dive watch. It's just, kind of not its thing. The whole point is that there's not a lot there. And you can see even the loom is skeletonized, right? It's all hollowed out. There's not big plops because there's not any really big portions there that don't need to be there. So with that said, one thing I always like to work in is a bit of a low light transition, because you're always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just hanging out underneath the shade of a tree. So it's nice to see what these colors, textures, and finishes run alike in less than optimal lighting. And you know what, guys, we can even see the finishing on this movement, right? So it's really cool. It obviously mirrors the exterior where you're having mostly matted, but then you're also having some high polished bevel work. That is very, very impressive. And none of this is just for look. So I've definitely seen, those skeletonized movements where it's really just a small movement hidden behind a bunch of skeletonized, basically bracketry. It's not even the movement that's skeletonized. It's just the bracket that holds it in, and then you kind of hide stuff behind it. And that's at prices even around this price point, right? Around $500. So that's not uncommon at this price point. And it's cool to see this brand obviously not do that, right? They did something and they said, hey, well, this is actually going to be a skeletonized setup with open work dial and everything like that. I mean, this is the real deal. And no, it's not super expensive. No, it's not ultra luxurious. It's not some storied Swiss brand, but CIGA Designs is known for they're known for their design work, and they're known for their execution. They've been awarded on multiple occasions for multiple designs. And that's from third parties. It's not like they're just patting themselves on the back. So you do have to respect that. And there's a part of hot horology that gets really wild, and that we'll never really, as mere mortals, will be able to attain or experience when we see stuff, when we start getting again into open work dials and skeletonization and all of the really cool intricate things. So it's really neat that they're able to produce something that on a lot of objective scales is impressive. Like, this is impressive regardless of where that it was assembled or where it was designed. Like, this is an impressive timepiece. Now, stylistically, does it resonate with me? Not really, but it doesn't look bad. Like, again, hey, if something happened to me and I have this RoboCop type situation, this would be perfect for me, right? If I was a cyborg. But also at the same time, I'm older. I like things to be a little bit more vanilla these days with what I wear for my watches. In terms of the day-to-day, but I still do enjoy a good wildcard watch, which I think this fulfills that while still being an impressive just timepiece in general, right? If we were to put that in a completely different category of like, is this a good watch? Yeah, it meets a lot of those criteria as a good watch, regardless of, if you like the design or not. So closing thoughts on this, guys. On the wrist, the low slung kind of lug-less-like design does help with the larger dimensions. And yeah, this is a larger watch. It still wears on the larger side though, just keeping it real. Like if you have a really small wrist, you know, and you can't wear watches this size, this probably isn't going to be the one that's going to change your mind. But it's a cool one. And honestly, this is a watch that's meant to look big. But it's not unyielding in terms of the way that it wears, so I can appreciate that. Now, in terms of model variants, it is available as in 2 other tones in terms of that DLC coating, that diamond-like carbon coating. You can get it in a carbon tone and then a black coating as well. So, essentially different shades, right? This will be the brightest. You can get one in the middle, or you can get one that's black. Now, comparable models, guys, it's tough when it comes to wildcard watches to compare anything, right? There are some very expensive watches that are going to have a similar spec sheet to this, but they'll just be manufactured from other brands that charge, you know, mega bucks in terms of luxury dollars. But for me, guys, if I just jump to the bottom line, a tech-heavy wildcard watch that feels something like a, you know, like it's something from a Michael Bay Transformers movie. Like that's what this is. And when I say tech heavy, I don't mean it has like a lot of complications, but there's a lot of, again, like technical aspects to this, right? In terms of the technicality, the complexity of the execution of the design, of the balance. Like this is not something they just stumbled upon. They were designing one watch and, hey, well, you know, we made this GMT, let's also make a diver version of it, right? Like none of that happened here. Like this is something that's very deliberate, and it is, you know, some might even consider over designed, but it is designed. And that under 500 price point, a lot of the best watches are very generic and not really designed because they're just a cheaper version of something else that you want, right? There's a lot of homages within that $500 space. So something like this, although it does pay homage to a certain category, it doesn't pay any homage to any particular reference, which I can appreciate. So no, this isn't for everyone. It's not even for most collectors, but for those of you who have larger collections that would appreciate the occasional wild card, you know, offering zero ego and 100% fun. Yeah, this is a great option that really makes you wonder why some pay so much more for similarly complex and polarizing skeletonized statement pieces, right? Like there are people where that's all they wear, skeleton dials, or all they wear is hot horology, and you know, from all the big names, when it comes to open work dials, skeletonization, high complication type stuff. So, yeah, I think this is cool. Again, it's not going to be as timeless as a Big Crown vintage-inspired dive watch. No, it's not that. But I think the fact that it isn't that is one of the things that make it so interesting. But let me know what you all think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please like. And if you're already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.